Hey, GM.
GMGM.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for coming. We'll wait a couple more minutes till everyone gets on stage, but feel free to relax, feel free to chill out for the next couple of minutes. GM.
Jin, hello, hello. Should we get ready to start? I see our speakers are here. Maybe we should invite them up to the stage.
Yeah, I think we are all good. Wanna kick us off, Moonlight?
Awesome. Of course, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's space event. This is the very first time that I collab with Newbie, so I'm very, very exciting about it. And welcome, everyone, to today's MA session. We're thrilled to have a panel of brilliant minds from some of the most innovative projects in the blockchain space. And joining us today, as we have Jeff, founder of Marlin, and we have Max, co-founder of Yona, and Yash, CEO and co-founder of Surge. Alvaro, the CEO of Lumas, and as well as Snowbird, the global growth manager at our new bid over here. We're excited to dive deep into the world of Bitcoin as a data availability DA layer, right? Discussing its scalability, economic implications, and much more. Let's get started. First thing is I would like to invite our speakers to introduce yourself and let us getting to know each of you a bit more. Let's starting from I'm going to follow our banners order, right? So that everyone knows when it's your turn. And we would like to invite Norbert, our global growth manager at Newbie, to introduce yourself and introduce the project to us. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for everyone for coming, for all the speakers, everyone in the audience. My name is Norbert. I'm Global Growth Manager here at Nubit. And before I joined the team, I pretty much worked in DeFi, GameFi, and was also part of an accelerator on Bitcoin. Prior entering the space, I was an athlete. I had some success both in and out of the pool. And now I'm just growing the team. So essentially, anything in regards to Nubit, looking forward to our conversation. I know we have Yash, Alvaro, and Max with us on stage. There was some last minute switch with Jeff, but really excited to have Joe on stage from Merlin Chain. So thank you all for coming, guys.
Amazing. Thanks everyone for joining us today. And following that, we'd like to invite Jeff, the founder of Merlin, to also introduce yourself and your project to us. Thank you.
Thanks, Moonlight. So sorry, Jeff is not here due to some urgent meeting. So Joe is here. So thanks, Norbert, for the introduction as well. So I'm the head of BD and partnership for Merlin Chain, and Merlin Chain is a Bitcoin layer 2 solution that integrates like several advanced technologies like ZK Rollup Network, decentralized Oracle Network, DA with Nubit, Celestia, and on-chain BTC fraud-proof modules. So on Merlin Chain itself, I'm helping protocols, communities to basically scale their innovations, their creativity, their protocols on Merlin Chain. So for example, ordinals, runes, bitmaps, protocols, they are interested to actually find solutions that can further on bring in the next wave of users, basically due to their high I would say high cost and slow speed. So Berlin is a place where we can help them groom the ideas as well as to bring in the next wave of users. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joel, for the intro. I'm glad to have you over here today. Following that, we would like to invite Max. Max is a co-founder at Yona Network. Would you like to introduce yourself and your project to us? Thank you.
Yeah, hey everyone. Yeah, my name is Max, and I'm one of the co-founders of Yoda Network. We are SVM, and SVM stands for Solana VM, Solana Virtual Machine. So we're building Bitcoin L2 powered by Solana Virtual Machine, kind of the fastest L2. So we kind of combine the fastest virtual machine in the market with Bitcoin, with like all the liquidity that's just sitting idle on Bitcoin. And yeah, so we are building a fully trustless bridge with Bitcoin. So we built Bitcoin Lite client, on-chain Lite client on SVM. And well, SVM is pretty unique environment, pretty different from what we see on EVM. So we see that today on Solana, while TVL of Ethereum is way higher than on Solana, we still see that the trading volume is almost the same, which just shows that these fast execution environments are capable of producing way better way better capital utilization. So you can build on-chain order books, kind of like the most capital efficient way to trade anything. And yeah, so we are building Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem on Yona network. So yeah, so we are on testnet phase right now. So yeah, looking forward to launch a little later.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max, for the intro and looking forward to the minion launch as well. Following that, we would like to invite Yash, the CEO and co-founder of Surge, to introduce yourself and your project to us. Thank you.
Hey, GM. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. This is definitely a very interesting topic. So this is Yash. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Surge. So what we're doing at Surge is helping teams to launch rollups faster and go to market and build on your use case. I mean, how we are doing it. So we have like two parts. One is called Superstack, which is a meta layer, which is bringing in like key capabilities like inscribing on Bitcoin, like how do you anchor the security of Bitcoin and the verification layer. We're also having like MPCTS's network-based bridge, which is more of a trust minimized way to like move BTC from Bitcoin to the L2s that all be launched on Superstack. And then we have the rollup stack, which is which kind of helps in like distribution so the team can come and build on the stacks that they are comfortable with. Like right now we are building on like CK as well as like MoveEM. I think eventually we'll definitely go and add more stacks. Yeah, before Surge, I was with Frontier Wallet as a CPO, as a Chief Product Officer. Yeah, Frontier is a multi-ecosystem wallet. It's one of the Binance project. And yeah, so I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Yash, for letting us know about your journey in the Web3 space. And following that, we would like to invite Alvaro. Glad to see you again, the CEO of Lumas, to introduce yourself and your project to us. And everyone, if you have your project logo over here, feel free to blend up to the stage as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. Very good seeing some familiar faces, Moonlight. Great to be talking to some new people here as well. Because today I think it's a very exciting topic from a personal standpoint as well. We're going to be talking DA on Bitcoin, which at least from a client point of view, it's going to be very exciting for me to share a couple of things. But yeah, just slight introduction from myself. I'm Alvaro Fernandez. About 8 years in the space already full time. Started on the venture capital side, participated with early seed stage investments into equity within in startups like Binance and Bitmain, some of the 2016-17 interesting niches that we were having at the time, and eventually saw the initials or beginnings of DeFi that were being mentioned earlier in the space as well. Basically pivoting towards the more entrepreneurial side, which was with an insurance protocol, which was providing one of the first solutions to be provided in a decentralized way for the early stages of DeFi, where we were seeing so many hacks, so many different exploits, and so on. And then rapidly moving into a more mature stage where we were seeing that transition towards applications wanting to have their own sovereign environments in order to be able to meet the demands and the purposes of their applications and their clients, right? And that really brought me to focus much more into the potential of ZK and the potential of having those sovereign environments through modularity and eventually engaging with my current co-founders and what we have built together, which is Lumos. We've been around for quite some time. Merlin Chain has been speaking very well about us. We're having quite a few partners joining the space as well. So we're just very happy to be providing what we think is at our core. It's basically a solution that can bring a feasible product to the client. And the best niche case that we found as of proprietary technology from our side is the modular computation that can be provided with the know-how of eventually plugging in ZK arithmetics, essentially providing a prover and a verifier network and solutions that can be directly implemented on any kind of layer 2 that could be thought of. We proved ourselves with several different environments that could be implemented in different and niche scenarios, such as not only Ethereum, but also Bitcoin. And we're very happy to keep exploring further new environments that involve Telegram and some of the EVMs that are interesting for some of the application level participants that want to be engaging in having a more sovereign environment is really what we provide. But what we see mainly is that Bitcoin is the most sovereign environment that we know of right now. And this is the topic for today, from my point of view.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Varro, for letting us know details about yourself and your project. And we are going to go over to our first discussion topic. And once again, very happy to learn from our speakers. And it's fascinating to see the diverse range of expertise and innovation represented here. Our first discussion topic is concerning Bitcoin's block space is capped at 4 MB, right? And how do you see the scalability of Bitcoin for handling data intensive transactions, such as those required by ZK rollups, affecting viabilities as a DA layer? And we would like to bring these questions also following the order. First, going to Norbert, our growth manager of Newbie, to answer the question. Thank you.
Yeah, so I believe there are definitely some scalability limitations, especially with Bitcoin's 4 megabyte block size cap. I think it's limited scalability for some data intensive transactions, like those required by ZK rollups or any on chain applications like gaming, socials, more. So I feel like with a such constrained block space, even heavily compressed rollup data would struggle to support more than 100 transactions per second. And that's making it really costly and also inefficient. So the limitations challenges Bitcoin's viability as a DA layer, and especially for those applications that are requiring the high throughput. So pretty much our solution here at Nubit, because I feel like I missed that part from the intro, is addressing these challenges as well and offering a scalable and secure DA layer that also leverages Bitcoin's unmatched authenticity and the security as well. So by, anchoring the data availability to Bitcoin's decentralized and censorship-resistant infrastructure, we are enhancing the scalability and also maintaining the authenticity that's central to the core principles of Bitcoin. And pretty much like lastly, I feel like with the approach we have is also unique and helps L2 solutions to gain security directly from Bitcoin. And yeah, that's my thought on that.
Thank you so much, Uber, for sharing your view with us. And we would also like to go to Joe, our BD lead at Merlin, to share your view on the topic. Thank you.
Thanks, Moonlight. So like what Alvaro mentioned just now, right? Bitcoin network is in fact the most overall network, right? As we know, it's intrinsically I would say secure, decentralized, right? And hence as a DA is unquestionable, right? But of course there is limitations to the MB, to the block time of 10 minutes, 4 megabytes, right? However, we have to recognize the huge potential of Bitcoin assets, right? So all of us want to create a lot of use case for Bitcoin. So in the past, Bitcoin is used as a store of value, right? People just hold it and wait for it to appreciate. But last year we see that there's a boom in terms of ordinals, runes. Runes is this year, but ordinals last year we see that there's a lot of wider use case already. There's a lot of transaction volume at the Bitcoin network layer, and hence it's a inevitable route to find a solutions for Bitcoin as a DA. And hence Merlin is incepted because we want to create that scaling solutions, right? At the same time, there's a lot of other solutions. So we know that Bitcoin network, there is Lightning, there is Taproot, there is Segwit, right? So what we see at Merlin is that we view that this capped block space is not as a bottleneck, but as a unique feature that encourages more efficient and optimized use of resources. So for example, on Merlin, what we do is we use the Taproot aggregated ZK proof way, so we can actually offload the information from Bitcoin network onto Polygon CDK. After all the transaction is done, we actually can aggregate, batch, compress, and send over to the Bitcoin network via the decentralized Oracle network that ensure transparency, privacy, as well as efficiency, right? So we get use of advanced DA techniques like what Nubit, Celestia do. We can actually we can further elevate all these scalability concerns, right, by offloading some of the data intensive tasks to specialized DA layers, so anchoring critical proof on Bitcoin. So we have to recognize that Bitcoin network is, as a DA, is important, right? We have to use the Bitcoin layer because first is decentralized, is the most decentralized, the most secure network. There's a lot of use case, a lot of transaction volume coming up since last year. We see a lot of use cases, a lot of creators, a lot of builders that's creating more and more products, protocols, features on Bitcoin layers. However, in order to bridge the mass over to this group of products, right, we have to ensure that we can find the right solutions to this, right, to handle data intensive transactions. So there's ZK rollups, and then there's side chains, and there's ways to actually use modularized compute layer. So we see as opportunity, and then that is why it's like I would say a constant journey to constantly educate users in the Bitcoin layer one side, like for example the runes ordinals builders, to actually build on Merlin, because there's such a limitation, but yet we cannot disrecognize the fact that there's a lot of opportunity there, be it monetary opportunity, be it creativity, be it intelligence property. We have to bring it to layer 2 to ensure that all this can be scaled with all these different technology advancement that we can find in the space, with all the very great builders, and then we can make sure that we can really solve the turning incompleteness of Bitcoin layer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your view with us. And following that, we would like to hear from Max, the co-founder of Yana Network. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, of course, Bitcoin block space cap like 4 megabytes, average block time several minutes, like total throughput around like 7 transactions or so. Yeah, this is like extremely limited even when compared to Ethereum, let alone like these faster blockchains, modern blockchains. And yeah, all of that essentially makes, at least for us, so as I mentioned before, we are building Solana VM based L2 on Bitcoin. And well, Solana is super fast, SVM is super fast, and it's capable of generating a ton of data. Just it would make absolutely impossible for us. It makes absolutely impossible for us to use Bitcoin as our DA layer. Well, it depends how you define DA layer, but of course it's impossible to store all the transactional data on Bitcoin. This is just, yeah. Well, it would like break the whole idea of having L2s, of like scaling Bitcoin, like making transaction faster, cheaper, and so on. So yeah, that's why. And I mean, ZK rollups in general on Bitcoin today is kind of something people are talking about, but well, I don't think we are like really close to any production ready ZK rollups on Bitcoin today, honestly speaking. Obviously, ZK rollups can store like naturally way less data on a DA layer on Bitcoin. They can just store proofs, and this will also enable Bitcoin-derived greater economic security. Yeah, that's why. So when we started thinking about how exactly we can use L1, so our immediate idea was to just store some commitments of data there, of transactional data there, and have some other place to store like 100% of transactional data. Yeah.
Thank
So
you so
this,
much.
yeah.
Thank you, Max, for helping us to define that. And then we would also like to bring the question to Yash. We want to hear your view. And Yash is the co-founder and CEO at Surge. Thank you.
Okay, I think most of us are agreeing that it's a strength and an opportunity, right? So Bitcoin with this limited block size. I think before I'm sure, like, I mean, this is not like changing anytime soon, right? So that's another factor of Bitcoin that makes it more secure. I mean, the changes happen so slowly. I mean, it's not like Ethereum evolves at its pace, right? As a network. So that itself is actually a kind of a add on to like the whole security part, right? So I think we are all here because of the security, because of the decentralization of Bitcoin. The way kind of like see on like few perspective, right? Like one is while it is 4 MB, right? Uh, I'm sure like there's so much innovation being done so far. I think with ordinals and the runes, I mean, it has shown like how bad it can go in terms of the be it transaction fee or like the blocks filling up. I think it's kind of gives us a palette like what happened in Ethereum space as well, like what happened with CryptoKitties, and then how they started thinking about scalability and the roll up and all these things started on. I think I see it like we are in a very good state. Like we have all this parallel evolution that have happened on the roll up side, which we can actually take a lot from there, and we can actually build on the strength of Bitcoin, which is it being the most secure and decentralized network. And the Bitcoin has seen it's like it started as a peer-to-peer payment system, and then it became like a store of value or wealth, and now it is will be like a the DA layer, right? The data availability layer. So yeah, and then I'm sure like the teams here are like waiting on like for example, I mean the new bit is working on making it like a native data availability layer. But yeah, I'm pretty positive on Bitcoin with his own limitation. I feel that is the strength. That's what it makes it unique.
Awesome. Thanks, Yash, for sharing your view and your positive attitude toward the Bitcoin ecosystem. Following that, we would like to hear from Alvaro. He's the CEO at Lumet. We want to hear your views. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot was said already. I'm going to spice things up a little bit. So, to begin with, there is a reality which is an existing ZK layer 2 on top of Bitcoin, which happened to be joining us today, which is Merle Chain as well. So, that is actually a reality in terms of what was being mentioned earlier. Now, back to the concept. If we speak about the 4 megabyte and Bitcoin, and if I try to simplify things, what's happening? Bitcoin is the most sovereign environment. Is the cool kid section. It wants to be used for store of value, transactional value, financial settlement, many different things. The thing is that right now it's becoming a little bit of a Ethereum-like environment, seeing everything related to runes, BRC20, etc., etc., etc. Right now, from a pure user perspective, what I'm seeing is a very logical standpoint when we think about BTC and DA. Why? Because it's the most sovereign and the best environment, arguably, to be utilized for settling any kind of chain or layer 2 environment. But at the same time, it's most likely or more prompt for you to be more expensive, right? So there's a clear paradigm that needs to be solved. And from my point of view, taking the approach that Nubit is actually taking, being able to essentially alleviate everything that's actually being reported down to those 4 megabytes and having a parallel environment which allowing you to still leverage for that final settlement, it's just a great solution that helps a lot of my potential clients and existing clients, right? So what we're seeing here is just a very clear niche that's going to be meeting a very certain need for not everybody, clearly, because there's a lot of people building on Bitcoin, on Solana, on many different EVM or VMs, right? But a great solution that is fairly novel, that is not going to be wrong at all when we speak about a lot of cases, and specifically the ones that are not that Web3 related. I see a lot of potential, right? Because a lot of companies that are looking for security and that want to start tipping their toes in doing things on chain, whether it's from a financial standpoint, from a operational standpoint, or anything, or from a community standpoint, they may be interested in doing it in the most secure environment. And the most disqualifying factor at the moment is the cost within Bitcoin. So seeing that this is actually bridge makes it a completely solved problem, right? It really doesn't matter speaking about the 4 megabyte anymore, because you have a viable solution that can be offered in order for you to be completely avoiding this issue, right? So I really see not only a viable solution in terms of having a GAA layer within Bitcoin, I see it as a vital product for us to be able to continue with the trend that we're seeing, which is essentially the programmification and the self-sovereign and programmable environment that you're starting to reach within Bitcoin that we didn't see within the first 10 years since inception, right? And that after the toppling steps of Ethereum are starting to be transported in a more, let's say, sustainable way down to Bitcoin. And the different problems that we're encountering, such as the cost and the data availability issues, are being solved with some of the greatest teams that are in the face of the earth at the moment, from what I'm seeing. So it's just great to see that.
Thank you so much, Alvaro, for sharing your views with us. And thank you all for sharing the great analysis of the scalability challenges in the broader Bitcoin ecosystem. It's so clear that while Bitcoin offers a solid foundation, there are significant hurdles around ahead and data intensive applications. So we are going to explore how these challenges might impact the economic landscape next. And our second discussion topic is with competition for Bitcoin block space expected to intensify due to new entrants like rollups. What are the potential economic implications for transaction fees, and how might these affect the adoption of Bitcoin as a DA layer? And of course, first we would like to bring the microphone to Norbert, our global growth manager of Newbie. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel like it's a great question. I'll make it short with the solution itself, as we're pretty much like providing the practical solution to most of these challenges. Like as we have an intensifying space, transaction fees will likely rise, but we are pretty much solving those challenges by offloading data availability from Bitcoin to Nubit itself, and we offer a solution that efficiently publishing and also accessing the data. And with that, we're going to be able to, well, we are reducing the pressure on Bitcoin's main chain itself. And hopefully with this approach, it will also allow the project to bypass the escalating and also like rising cost that also leverages the Bitcoin robust security model. And we are with that, we're also able to keep everything decentralized, secure on the main chain itself. And so, preserving the economic viability of Bitcoin's limited block space, Nubit itself enables a broader range of users and applications to participate in the ecosystem. And with that, we are maintaining both the scalability and also resistant to censorship that I feel like is what Bitcoin itself stands for. And we're keeping it as close and as consistent to its core values as possible.
Thank you so much, Nober, for sharing your view with us. And I also already pinned a lot of our Twitter posts to the top of the space. And everyone, while you're listening to the discussion, feel free to check around the pinned tweets as well. Next, we would like to invite Joe, our BD of Maryland, to share your view with us. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will expect more and more transaction volume, more and more users coming onto the Bitcoin block space, right? And that will lead to higher cost, right? But that is essentially a good problem to have. So with this higher transaction cost, it isn't really a deterrent, but it also reflect Bitcoin's growing role and value as a secure and reliable DA layer. So, but with higher fees, of course, we as we witnessed like last year, you can be paying up to like 100, 200 U to inscribe ordinals. You can wait for like hours for it, right? So this strive and this actually motivate a lot of builders to actually create more efficient use of block space, driving innovations in different kind of technologies such as ZK, such as modularized scaling solutions, batching, and other methods, right? Even if you look at the other side, you have Fractal Bitcoin saying that they are going to bring the OP-Cat. You have Bitcoin virtual machine coming up as well by Robin. So everyone is coming out with solutions to actually tackle these good problems, right? Yeah, but I'm sure that whatever solution coming up definitely will move the Bitcoin ecosystem one step further. So for users and projects relying on Bitcoin as a DA layer, the economics implication will mean that they have to weigh the cost of higher fees. And that is why we see that there's a need to actually have a sidechain or L2 that is Merlin chain, right? That we can actually bring it to layer 2, transaction to layer 2 to conduct all the different financial transactions, all the different batching data and all this to actually free up all this space and as well as to reduce costs and increase efficiency, right? So in terms of adoption, you can see that there's more great builders coming to the space to scale up this technology and solution. So you see Nubit, Lumens, you see different I would say EVM or Solana folks coming in to see how we can tackle these issues, because the opportunity is definitely there. We know the great potential about the market cap of Bitcoin, about the assets and all this, and then we also know the problems. So right now, we just have to find the solutions, right? To actually find to make sure that users can basically bridge in and bridge out seamlessly, reduce time spent, make sure that their data is secured, is safe and transparent, right? So this whole movement, we can see that there will be more and more I would say innovative technology coming out in the space that can be very very encouraging. I would say because we are actually moving the Bitcoin ecosystem towards a better direction, right? So like for example on Merlin, we look at how we actually make sure that we use the ZK rollup properly. We are actually experimenting with ZK Prover. We are working with Robin to see how we can implement BitVM in the future, right? But right now it's not announced yet because it's still premature. But we are actually working behind the scene to make sure that all this technology will be ready, will be in place when the time is ready. So I would want to urge everyone to really take note of how the space is moving. We are building great products, scaling solutions to make sure users can do their I would say activities on chain, on let's say be it side chain or in the future Fractal Bitcoin or other L2s, right? It's all to move this ecosystem together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your review with us, and glad to know that it's actually a good problem to have, right? Next, Max, we would also like to hear your review as well. Max is co-founder at Yona Network. Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously as competition of like Bitcoin block space intensifies because of new rollups, new entrants such as rollups, and then presumably some other services. Well, the transaction fees will definitely grow, and this will pose a big challenge to the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. And well, because of this, a lot of Bitcoin maxis are really unhappy about all the L2s, rollups, and things, and like doing some Bitcoin changes, like reintroducing OpCat and so on. So they're against that for that very reason. So they're scared that kind of Bitcoin will become unusable as a network, because the only entity that will be capable of transacting there will be just rollups. But yeah, I think like realistically, no projects today consider using Bitcoin as like a full-blown DA layer. I mean, everyone understands that it is just not practical, not viable, and they are searching for some other data availability service providers to store like the whole amount of data. And with ZK stack, ZK tag, I think we'll be able to minimize the amount of data that is being stored on the L1 itself. So we'll store just proofs there, and everyone will be able to verify these proofs and compare them to the data that is stored somewhere else on a service such as Nubit or somewhere else. So that's basically my view on this problem, and that it will probably be solved naturally by not using Bitcoin as a like full-on DA layer, but rather using some other services. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Max, for sharing your views regarding the challenges and perhaps some solutions that could be made. Thank you. And next, we also like to hear from Yash, the CEO and co-founder of Surge. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, like I said, it's a good problem to have. Um, I mean, Bitcoin, I think there was, of course, a time when, the transaction fee on Bitcoin wasn't like really part of the revenue for the miners, right? So it's all Bitcoin rewards, right? So the mining rewards. So now that, I mean, the halving is happening and things are evolving, of course, Bitcoin has seen a solid product market fit as store of value, or, be it, transactions, like how easy it is to like move millions of dollars with a fraction of cost that you would have spent otherwise, right? I mean, apart from the blockchain, and on a more secure network like Bitcoin, right? So this, yes, there will be like the increase in the cost, but I think that's the kind of a natural progression into like what Bitcoin is being going to be, right? So I think we will see a solid product market fit for Bitcoin as a DA layer as well. And yes, I mean, of course, like the team here, like we are all trying to like make it as good as possible, because you can't fully rely on Bitcoin, because then of course like, the cost might make it like completely not able to like be a ultimate DA layer. Uh, but I think and that's where we are seeing like a lot of teams now figuring out and building, like be it the Zika rollup, or like the SVM based rollups, right? So I think I'm pretty excited to like see Bitcoin establishing a solid product market fit as a DA layer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yash, for sharing your excitement with us. And following that, we would like to hear from Alvaro. He's the CEO at Lumos. Thank you.
All right. A lot of smart things were said, but I'm going to spice things up once again. I'm going to beg to differ with all of you. I do not think that it's a good problem to have. Why do I think so? Because yes and no, it is a great problem to have, but for whom? It's for some of the actors only, especially the infrastructure providers. I'm thinking about any kind of miners, any kind of maintainers of the network are benefiting from this, right? But who is not benefiting? We're speaking about any kind of profile, retail or institutional, who may be looking to exert the utilities that have been there for Bitcoin for a long time. Store of value, transactional, interactions, payments, etc. It makes it unfeasible. I'm a big fan of freedom, and I'm a big fan of free markets. I cannot put that against Bitcoin in itself, but what I can think of is that when we speak about scalability, when talking about data here, it's not a feature from Bitcoin, it's a bug. And when we talk about the bug in terms of storage, what I want to mean is that we need to democratize that storage if you want to see the utility of Bitcoin to become a DA layer or to become any kind of programmable environment where you can see applications and use cases succeed. And when you're having that, what you want to see ideally is the democratization to be essentially in a way, the same way that it doesn't matter how much money I send across Bitcoin. It can be $1 or $1 billion. It's going to cost me the same amount of data. I think that's what Nubit is trying to do, right? It doesn't matter if I want to put 1 megabyte or 1 gigabyte of storage, as long as you can put things fairly off chain or in a sustainable way out of Bitcoin and reporting what's actually necessary in a way that you can feasibly get that security from Bitcoin. Isn't that doing what we're seeing with payments, that it doesn't matter how much you're sending, the fee is going to be the same? I would like to see that with storage within Bitcoin, because until we see that, you're not going to be able to talk about Bitcoin as a DA layer in no way, not without sacrificing any of the other use cases that are very interesting for a lot of people and institutions from my point of view. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Alvaro, and thank you for sharing your viewpoint with us. We like to hear different ideas from everyone. And our speakers' insights on the economic implications are really thought provoking. As competition heats up, The ripple effects on the transaction fees could indeed reshape the adoption curve. And now let's consider how projects might adapt those changes. Our third discussion topic is, given the high cost of posting data to Bitcoin's blockchain, what alternative strategies could rollups employ to mitigate these costs while still leveraging Bitcoin's security and decentralization benefits? First, we would like to also hear from Norbert, our global growth manager at Newbie. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I believe like one of the alternative strategies for data posting, given the high cost and limited block space on Bitcoin, blockchain itself, like rollups, layer 2, layer 3, or any other applications can employ an alternative strategy, like leveraging Nubit DA adaptable data availability layer, so they can maintain the security and also the decentralization features without the high cost. And going back to the previous topic itself, the cost is likely going to rise. That's definitely one of the big issues that we're trying to resolve is as well. And so our approach to reducing the blockchain interaction cost, also preserving decentralization, and also supporting a broader range of applications. So making Nubit an ideal infrastructure layer for an evolving demand for the Bitcoin ecosystem itself. And I believe, like, in addition to that, we are enabling rollups to offload the bulk of the data operation off-chain and only keeping or settling the essential proofs on Bitcoin. And with the method itself, we're drastically able to reduce the frequency and the cost of blockchain interaction. And one of our efficient mechanisms, like data availability sampling, or DAS, allows the network participants to ensure a full availability of block data without requiring the participants to actually download it completely. So with that, we're able to do a lot of different things. In addition to that one, I believe like ZKP-based state proof for Bitcoin meta protocols like BRC20, utilizing zero knowledge proof, to validate the state transition of meta protocols, and also combining it with Nubit modular indexer also enables a fully trustless indexing result verification. So, it's a really good solution as well that also allows the users to bypass bypass centralized indexing providers and also fostering a more decentralized ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Norbert, for sharing your views and how Nubis is solving, providing a lot of solutions over here. Following that, we would like to hear from Joe, our BD lead at Merlin, to share your views as well. Thank you.
Sure. So I think there's a lot of ways to actually mitigate high costs, right, associated with posting data to Bitcoin blockchain. So rollups can explore several strategies, right? You have data compression, aggregation. You have optimized DA solutions. You can utilize Bitcoin sidechains, right? Basically to elevate congestion, to increase TPS, to basically move all the transaction to a place where you can do it at a lower cost, higher speed, right? So on Merlin itself, we implemented a multi-token staking like Oracle node system. So where these sequential nodes, right, are responsible for collecting and batch processing transactions. So we compress transaction data, ZK state roots and proofs. So all this data is compiled by the decentralized Oracle network. After that, on the sidechain, on L2, and then uploaded to the Bitcoin mainnet taproot. So this will make it publicly accessible to the entire network. So in this way, we can effectively mitigate risk associated with single point of failure, centralization, and can be publicly verified at any time. At the same time, it reduces a lot of costs. So for example, at the start, per transaction on Merlin is it can go up to $2 to $3. So right now we have reduced greatly in terms of that cost on Merlin when you do a transaction, depending on the GUI, it's roughly 30 to 40 cents. Of course, compared to EVM, there's still a long way, but definitely more rooms for improvement, right? And then that's where we can have other kind of solutions coming into the market and into the ecosystem. And Merlin also adopted a solution for aggregated ZK proof rollup data submission to be on Bitcoin mainnet based on Taproot. So all this layer 2 data will be submitted to Bitcoin layer 1 for security verifications, for checking on any fraudulent or erroneous data, and then can be detected and prevented by layer 1. So in this way, we can ensure that the cost is reduced, the security is maintained, and then we can ensure that everything is transparent, decentralized. So I would say that there's a lot of solution coming up, and then we are always looking at how we can embrace rollup to basically scale this piece of technology altogether.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe, for sharing your view and also the strategies from Merlin with us. Following that, we also like to hear from Max, the co-founder at Yona Network. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'll be slightly like repeating what the guys before me told you. I mean, yeah, in general, so compressing data, I think, is a general problem, not only for Bitcoin. On Solana side, for example, ZK compression was recently introduced. Basically, yeah, the idea is pretty clear. So so we are storing the whole data somewhere outside, either on some other part of the chain or completely off chain or on some other chain. And we only store like the commitments of data, the proofs that can be proof of inclusion and things like that. And we at Tiona also use these ideas. So basically, to have it back to Bitcoin, we also store the commitments of transactions on chain. I mean, on L1 on Bitcoin. And so basically we are using Bitcoin as rollups, as L2s in general. We have multiple layers of finality. And so we basically use Bitcoin as a final settlement layer. And most data, and we have like other layers, like saving data to the external DA, saving data to our to Yona storage, and so on. And so basically, I think everyone in a foreseeable future, all the rollups, all the solutions will use the same approach, and just store the whole data off chain and store the proofs on chain.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max, for sharing the solutions with us. And following that, we also like to hear from Yash, the co-founder and CEO at Surge. Thank you.
Yeah, I think already we have heard different, ways how it can be done. I think the data compression or be it hybrid data availability layers like Nubit. I think this panel itself like says right, like the different kind of projects we're building, like Nubit being the the hybrid data availability layer, and Lumos and Merlin is working on the ZK side of things. Yano is working on the SVM as an execution layer. I mean, we are also like kind of trying to build and bring like different execution. I think it is of course like a two stages, right? So one is how can you like improvise on compressing the data and on the like the execution side, and then on when it comes to like Bitcoin, like when you're settling on Bitcoin as a DA layer, how can you like improvise on, right? I think it will also be driven by like use cases, like what kind of use cases that we will like see that will build on a Bitcoin. I think Ethereum was very like DeFi triggered, right? I think most of the use cases were very decentralized finance and like the complex financial primitives. I'm sure like on Bitcoin side, the way I kind of see it is there will be like different use cases, like not just DeFi. I think there will be a non-DeFi use cases, in which case I think maybe hybrid data availability layer like Nubit would make sense, right? Or be it even like a complex a DeFi use case, right? So yeah, I think that's the way I see it.
Nice. Thank you so much, Yash, for sharing different viewpoints, right? DeFi or non-DeFi use cases. That's very good suggestions. And next, we also like to hear from
Yeah.
Alvaro. He's the CEO at Lumos. Thank you.
Yeah, speaking from experience, I'm going to start answering this with the premise that I don't like complexity. The easier you can solve something, the more likely it is to work. That's why one of the bottlenecks that we were seeing is that when ZK rollups wanted to be built, or rollups in general wanted to be built on top of Bitcoin, there's not really a viable solution besides a single node data availability environment, right? And that's not really a decentralized solution, and that's not really scaling Bitcoin, neither in a decentralized way or in a security way, right? So this is actually a very simple question to understand when we really go back, right? So for rollups that want to be built on Bitcoin, cheap, leveraging decentralization and security, the only solutions that we have at the moment is data availability approaches for rollups themselves. And the only solution that I can think that's building on Bitcoin very clearly is Nubit. Now, my question would rather go in the direction of how developers can actually have things solved, because what I've seen is that different teams have trying to be building from a long time on top of Bitcoin, right? Seeing things like Rootstock or different side chains, they were not really harnessing that much of a community at the time, right? So what I think it's really here happening as a catalyst is that once and for all, what we're seeing is an actual native community that is building on Bitcoin, right? A community of builders that are seeking for solutions. And now that we can meet for these solutions, it turns out that we have more valuable solutions than a few years ago, especially when we speak about the concept of rollups, optimistic or ZK-based, when we speak about data availability, when we see all of this nascent technology eventually come into fruition, right? So when we're speaking about all these kinds of issues that we have on Bitcoin, what we really want to see is just a simple solution that can make things as simplified as possible when we look at it from a product perspective. So being able to leverage Bitcoin in itself for those case scenarios is, from my point of view, the best possible solution, rather than going for third-party chains, single nodes, or anything else.
Got it. Thank you so much, Alvaro, for sharing your views and provide the solutions. And definitely those strategies from each of our speakers are promising for managing costs while maintaining Bitcoin's core benefits, right? And it's also crucial to find that balance, especially as the ecosystem evolves. And let's now think about the broader impact on Bitcoin's block competition. The fourth question I would like to discuss is how do you anticipate the launch of roll-ups and other DA projects on Bitcoin will impact the overall competition of blocks and the average transaction size within the Bitcoin network? We would like to first bring this question to Norbert, our growth manager at Newbie. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always hard to go first when there's so much knowledge on the stage itself. So try to make it short as well, especially going after Alvaro. So I believe like there's going to be an increase in average transaction size. With the adoption of rollups, DA projects like Nubit, the transactions will include data commitments and proofs, leading to overall larger average transaction sizes. And also like a shift in block composition, as Bitcoin blocks may evolve from primary value transfers to being more data-centric. So Nubit anchoring data on Bitcoin, and the nature of block space usage will shift toward supporting data availability more. And in my opinion, like lastly, like a lower competition for block space, which is definitely good. And as projects like us, like Nubit, leverages Bitcoin security for DA, competition for the block space inclusion will be eased. So our role as a adaptable data availability layer will help mitigate the cost of increased data load and also offering a scalable, cost-efficient solution. And with that, also allowing Bitcoin to support more complex applications without compromising the security of decentralization as well.
Awesome. And Norbert, no worries. Yeah, you are being the first because we see you're over here at the first on the banner, right? And we definitely like to hear your views as well. Next, we are going to bring the question to Joe, our BD lead at Merlin. Thank you.
Thank you. This probably will be my will be my last question because I'm heading on to another AMA in 5 minutes time. So I would say that we will see more and more increased inclusion of like data-rich transactions and as well as stream block composition, right? So as rollups and DA projects post all this compressed data, you can expect like increase proportion of transactions that's data heavy, rather, and then this can contain large amount of metadata proof, lead to an over increase in average size of transaction included in blocks. And then we also can see that the composition of Bitcoin blocks likely to shift as this data intensive transaction occupy more block space. So while traditional transactions seems involving simple BTC transfer will continue, they may be outnumbered or rivaled by related transactions, right? So this shift could lead to more diverse range of transaction types that included in each block. So you can see that there's expanding use cases of Bitcoin beyond just peer-to-peer. So we are quite bullish in terms of Bitcoin layer 1 assets as it create this additional use case, right? So there's also impact on transaction costs, which we are all working together to actively reduce it. And then there's also evolution of like fee market. So before I end this question, I also want to thank Moonlight for hosting this and for the invitation, and really happy to be here to learn from everyone and then to continue to grow the space, right? So we are always driven by our mission to empower BTC layer 1 assets through more efficient issuance, trading, interactions on Merlin chain. So really happy to see what this space will bring about to encourage such activities. Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Joe. And feel free to still hang there, with the Merlin account, because our listeners can follow it as well. And everyone, if you're listening to our space, don't forget to follow our speakers and their projects so you're going to receive additional information from them. Next, we would like to hear from Max, the co-founder at Yona Network. Thank you.
Yeah, so we are, of course, all of us are waiting for real dApps to come to L2s, to Bitcoin, and kind of change the way people interact with Bitcoin. And basically, so we have like two trends. So trend number one, if L1 transactions in general start moving to L2, something that we observed on Ethereum, where like some general trading, like Uniswap trading, moved from Ethereum itself to Arbitrum to Optimism and to a bunch of other L2s. This kind of decreases the amount of activity on the parent network, but at the same time, the rollups themselves generate more activity, just like storing data, registering transactions, and doing things like that. So it's really interesting to see how it will work on Bitcoin, and I think it will be like self-regulating mechanism. So if like the prices of transactioning on L1 become too high, then people naturally move to L2s, and so it's like I think it will work. It will work well. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max, for sharing your view with us. And finally, I would like to hear from Yash, the CEO and co-founder of Surge. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the beauty of Bitcoin is it has a great feedback loop, right? I mean, it's kind of self-regulating the whole the whole how the blocks are minted and how the block composition is happening. I feel, I mean, the rollups, I mean, at least if we look at the data now, I mean, there are so many rollups that are planned to launch in next 6 to 12 months, right? I think we are looking at what, like 30 to 40. I think if all of them launch and kind of like compete for the block space and the SATA layer, I'm sure, I mean, the rollups would end up taking up the significant space, and which kind of course hampers the probably the traditional peer-to-peer transactions and stuff like that, right? I think again it will also be very use case driven, like because you can't like compete and for a space which is again limited, and of course the transaction fees will go up. I think for rollups, which would absolutely make sense to be there, I mean, like have the data is directly on the Bitcoin would probably continue if who can again afford to, right? So who can like build, bring that kind of traction on the chain, more that probably like the sidechain users or like the L1 users onto the roll up, or be it like the innovative dApps that will come in. It'll still be driven by use case and the need of it, and of course an alternative DA layer like a new bit would add value in terms of like so some of them even can choose that, or or like I said, different use cases that will come in probably would may not like fully want to do it on Bitcoin and then probably use the alternative DA layer. I think it is kind of like self enforcing, and like I would see like it's kind of balancing out over a period of time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yash. And following that, Alvaro, the CEO of Lumas, would you like to share your views as well? Thank you.
Well, I'm ready. The question is if you guys are ready. Because the situation that I see here is very clear. This technology is being adopted. The situation what we're having is that Bitcoin is basically to be expected on having larger transaction volumes, right? More adoption is going to eventually bring that. Now, the thing is, what type of adoption are we going to see? And this brings me to the other side of the question here, which is the composition of the blocks. I, without a doubt, do see an increased tendency in terms of how those blocks are going to be less composed of mere transactions of a Bitcoin and more of sampling or batching. And here comes the key methodology that I would like to see eventually is really the reporting of that batching from programmable layers, such as, for example, Merlin Chain is doing at the moment, right? And the crucial point here, the batching, because that will solve a lot of the issues that we were talking about during the space. In general, what I'm very concerned about is that I would like to see all these new types of technology have a fruition within Bitcoin, but without affecting the core parts of it, such as seeing alterations within the mempool and how the interactions are going to be happening with the chain in itself, because the mempool is nothing else than me trying to validate something on the chain, right? But the main paradigm shift that I will see or expect myself is a change in the velocity of Bitcoin. Okay, the main important paradigm shift that we're seeing here is that a predominantly store of value as a use case, and here with chain as well, is changing into a programmable money functionality and environment, right? And with this, from an economic standpoint, as an economist myself, I see an interesting challenge happening here in the velocity within the chain, and that could have a lot of implications.
Awesome. We like that. I hear from different viewpoints, and certainly it's very helpful. So, friends, we are going to go over for our next discussion topic. And so it's definitely interesting to consider how these new projects over here will alter the structure of Bitcoin's blocks, right? And the changes could be significant in shaping the Bitcoin ecosystem future dynamics. And finally, let's talk about the long-term viability of using Bitcoin in this capacity. So our fifth discussion topic, also the last one, is looking ahead, considering the potential high costs and technical limitations. What adaptations or innovations are necessary to ensure the long-term viability of using Bitcoin as a DA layer for rollups and other layer 2 solutions? And first, of course, still go to Norbert, our global growth manager at Newbit. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So pretty much I believe looking forward and also for Bitcoin to work well, it needs to meet today's needs without losing what makes it special. So maintaining a seamless integration here at Nubit, it's pretty much designed to work in harmony with Bitcoin. So scaling without compromising on security. And we are achieving this by leveraging a high performance consensus algorithm to support hundreds of thousands of validators with Bitcoin staking. So with that, we are able to ensure strong security and also decentralization that I believe, aligns with Bitcoin's core principles. And furthermore, I feel like our extensive throughput capabilities allow for construction of modular services across various categories without the typical constraints of the block space itself. And yeah, so I think adaptability itself broadens Bitcoin's capacity, and with that, we are able to effectively support a wider range of applications and ensuring that it remains a foundational layer itself. And so this overall, I feel like makes Nubit an ideal infrastructure for anyone, and for evolving ecosystem itself, like we talked about, and also ensuring that Bitcoin can continue to scale up and also maintain the fundamental attributes of security and also decentralization.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Norbert. And I especially like the, yeah, what you say, right? Scaling without compromising security is certainly really important. Following that, we'd like to hear from Max, the co-founder at Yona Network. Thank you. Oh, it
Yeah,
seems that.
sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. Yeah, sorry. Was struggling a little bit. Yeah, so basically to ensure Bitcoin's long-term viability, we need like few key adaptations, so like better data compression techniques so that we can store less data on chain. Um, Another one, I'd say it would be good to see more more flexibility from Bitcoin dev community itself. Well, we know it's like super conservative, but yeah, introducing some things that would enable ZKP verifications on chain would be really, really, really helpful, and we would enable building like truly trustless solutions on top of Bitcoin. Yeah. Also, yeah, I think like in general, more efficient cryptographic proofs uh, could also help offload some of the pressure from the main chain. And yeah, upgrades like I think Taproot is a great example of awesome optimization and innovation that helped a lot. Opened up a ton of opportunities in building new products on top of Bitcoin. Yeah, and I think all of that combined, plus like external solutions that enable storing the data, such as Nubit, and yeah, would also, of course, be super helpful in building like the healthy Bitcoin ecosystem. Yeah, without sacrificing Bitcoin itself. Yeah, I think that's what I think.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max, for sharing your view with us. And following that, we also like to hear from Yash, the CEO and co-founder of Surge. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we all kind of definitely agree the fact that there will be potentially like the high cost and of course the technical limitations that we already know about the Bitcoin, right? I think some of the things that I can think of is of course new bit like an alternative DA layer. I definitely would love to see more innovation and making it much more native to Bitcoin versus the existing probably available data availability solutions, right? And also like I also see like probably continuous advancement in like data compression or even like more efficient proof system, like recursive stocks, right? So I think those are will have a kind of implication on you know in the future. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Yash. And next, we want to hear from Alvaro to see if there are more spice up opinions that you would like to share with us. Thank you.
Yeah, let's wrap things up softly. So from my point of view, it really comes to, look, all these new solutions that we're seeing are a means to a purpose. What you're seeing is real teams that want to build real products on top of Bitcoin, right? And these solutions, means of a purpose, are, from my point of view, having a great applicability from what we're already seeing, right? But the way that you bring in this innovation is crucial. And I'm going to bring one of the, let's say, breaking factors, right? The main criteria from my point of view is that if we want to see any kind of scalability or leverage the security of Bitcoin, we cannot do it at the cost of seeing any changes on the Bitcoin core code or any kind of challenges within that, implementing potential fork risks or anything like that. That's my personal point of view. I think it's initially not compatible thing to compare, right? Looking at the intents and purposes of finding solutions for programmability within a chain, and then challenging the Lindy effect of Bitcoin in itself. And this is something that we were seeing within the, I think, 2017-18 era with like Bitcoin Cash and some of the Bitcoin forks at the time. I would really just like to go through that again, right? So to all the teams that are trying to make Bitcoin a better place, finding a sustainable solution that does not affect the core security and the core utilities of Bitcoin, that's where you have your challenge, right? That's where you have to wrap your head around in order to build something that matters for the people. Because from my point of view, just touching anything on that core code could ripple something much larger from my point of view. So at least for the playground that we're having at the moment, which is a great niche for applications and retail products that we're having that people are already using within Bitcoin, besides the typical use cases that we have been speaking about for most of the time, I would like to see that. It's basically growing in a sustainable way that we're not going to tangle into the discussion of block size again, like we did 5, 7, 8 years ago, and things like that. There's more sustainable ways of doing things.
Got it. Thank you so much, Alvaro, for letting us know about that. And well, we have concluded of the 5 discussion talks over here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on the future adaptations needed. It's so clear that innovation will play a key role in ensuring Bitcoin remains a strong data layer despite the challenges. Right? And this has been an incredibly insightful discussion. Thank you all. Before we wrap up the session, we'd like to check with everyone if you would like to share any updates or some upcoming events or any recent milestones that you'd like to let our audience know about. Thank you. Let's first go over to Norbert, our Global Growth Manager of Newbie. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So just announced it last week that we're entering phase 3 of our testnet. So it's going to be really, really interesting, really exciting time ahead. So make sure to head on over to Discord or give us a follow here on Twitter. Not gonna spoil anything. It's coming pretty soon though. And probably just like one last thing what Joe mentioned, even though he's not here anymore from Merlin. Really, really enjoyed the time and thank you so much for all coming on stage. Learned a lot both from Max, Yash, Alvaro, and thank you for hosting everything Moonlight. It was a great time.
Thank you, Norbert. And no worries, you will not spill up anything. Actually, want to hear some alphas. Next time, maybe. Okay, and following that, I would like to hear from Max. Can you share any upcoming events or some exciting milestones from the Yona network with us? Thank you.
Yeah, we are about to release. So currently our DevNet is active, so it's mostly targeted for developers, so that we can test kind of how our network works, onboard builders, and so on. And soon we are like say like this week or early next week, we'll release our bridge and we'll make it open source to make sure we are contributing, we're creating public goods. This is a bridge between Bitcoin and SVM. So, and we built Bitcoin Live client on chain on SVM to create truly trustless bridge. So we'll be releasing that, and it would be cool if some of our members of our community can just play around with it and leave your feedback on like how it worked and so on. Yeah. Thanks a lot
Awesome. It's coming up.
for inviting to this event. Thanks to Newbit team and all the other speakers. It was a great conversation.
Thank you so much, Max, and we're looking forward to it coming soon. And next, Yash, would you also like to let us know anything coming up on Search? Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thanks for hosting this to the space. Definitely, it was good. I think all the speakers had like different perspective. I think that's what makes it like I think makes me like bullish about building on Bitcoin. I think next week we are releasing a sort of a calculator, the fee calculator that you can see, okay, there are like X number of rollups coming and you can actually simulate and see, potential implication of like what's the fee looks like, is it feasible, is it not feasible? I think even we had like a report by galaxy.com and which kind of triggered a lot of conversation around it. I think we are working on releasing this like probably by next week. It should be live. That's of course like a quick update I want to share. And of course, we'll be in KBW. Like team will be at Korea Blockchain Week, and they will also be at Token 2049. Would love to see in person and spend time. Yeah.
That is awesome, Yash. Yes, well, we should meet in real life, right? Not just talking over here on the space. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah, of course.
See you in Korea and Singapore soon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Following that, we'd like to hear from Alvaro. Would you like to share anything important from Lumos that you would like to encourage our community members to participate? Thank you.
You specifically said alpha, Moonlight. You specifically said alpha. So basically, from our side, it's been a very long road to those that have been following us in terms of production readiness. We're really on the moonlight towards that. Expect to see the nodes that have been provided towards the community to be launching very soon. And the spicy thing here in terms of alpha, I'm having a gut feeling that there's going to be quite some interesting and succulent arbitrage between the price of the nodes of securing rollup and the rewards that you're going to see based on the interactiveness on the rollup in itself. So that being said, we're really getting close to our road to mainnet. Everything involved of getting everything ready to be able to secure not only from a personal point of view or mock environment point of view, but really getting down to mainnet. And that's really what's on our plate. I really had a lot of fun of being here. I think you probably saw I'm very interested in speaking about these things. It's something that we see the bread and butter of clients that we help building solutions. And I think it's a very relevant topic in the space at the moment. So that being said, thank you so much for the great time and just sitting with a couple of minds that think alike. So yeah.
Thank you, Alvaro, and thank you for sharing Alpha with us. And we really, really appreciate all of our speakers for spending time sharing your valuable insight with us today. It's been an enlightening session. I'm so glad that this is recorded, right? So we could listen to replay over and over again, learning a lot about the future of Bitcoin as a DA layer. And of course, a big thank you all to our audience for your participation and thoughtful. Well, I see a lot of positive feedbacks over here, yeah, in the comment section. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. And until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of blockchain. Listen, Moonlight, I'm done speaking. Thank you all.